What's going on, everyone? Austin John Plays here, and today I'm going to be going over all of the mechanics of every single aspect of cooking in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. You're a human being who can understand my voice, and you know all the advantages of eating cooked food as opposed to raw food. It's more better. Unfortunately, in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, there's not much stopping you from deciding to just grab a whole bunch of raw meat and just shove it into your pie hole. He doesn't get sick from that, that's kind of weird. And unfortunately, there's pretty much no explanation on how foods are actually made in this game, other than going into your meals that you've already cooked and then you look at the ingredients and you try to reverse engineer it from there. Well, I'm going to be going to the specifics of exactly every single item, heart recovery, critical cooks, buffs, durations, and everything else you need to know about this game. Let's go over the basics. Every single food in the game that is edible with the heart icon in the materials is going to have a certain amount of hearts that's going to be listed down below. This apple is half a heart. This game calculates this apple as a value of 2, meaning that each quarter of a heart is a value of 1 and a full heart is a value of 4. If I were to drop an apple on the floor and then light it on fire, it's going to be on fire, and then when it's done being on fire, it's going to turn from an apple to a baked apple. We baked it. An apple with a value of 2 is multiplied by 1.5 whenever it's baked, so now it has a value of 3, meaning 3/4 of a heart. If I were to come over here and take that same one apple and cook it, it's now going to be simmered fruit with a total heart recovery of a value of 4, meaning 1 heart. So whenever you cook a meal, it's going to be taking all of your ingredients, adding them together, and multiplying it by 2. So in theory, if I were to take these 5 apples that are all half a heart, that's going to produce me a dish with 5 hearts. And it does. There's only a few exceptions to this, is that some food have a hidden value that's going to increase the amount of hearts you're going to be getting. Mostly speaking about the chickaloo tree nut and the acorn. If we add the acorn in here, we're going to be making a dish with 3 hearts. That's because anytime that you add an acorn or a chickaloo tree nut, it's going to be adding a bonus 2 hearts. The game does not tell you this information anywhere. In addition to the 2 nuts of the game, anytime that you're going to be cooking with a dragon part, it's going to be giving you bonus hearts as well, except for the dragon spikes. These will not work. Now, if you were to take a single insect and go to cook it, that's going to produce a dubious food, which means that you shouldn't have cooked that. If you take an insect and a food, like this carrot and this butterfly, and you cook them, that also will produce a dubious food. If you take a single monster part like this eyeball and cook it, that will also produce a dubious food. Anything that doesn't supposed to mix together will produce a dubious food for you. That also includes some food additives, like if I were to take this oil jar, which I can cook into a meal, but if I try to cook it on my own, it too will produce a dubious food. Now, if you ever cook some dubious food, you can make your way right here to Ricola Hills at the Ricola Hills Well. And here at the Ricola Hills Well, once we head inside, here we're going to be finding Moza, and Moza is going to make it so that she can actually recook any dubious food that you've already cooked. And for the small price of 10 rupees, she's going to make it into an edible dish. In this case for me was monster stew. I don't know if it's always monster stew, maybe it's other stuff, but anyways, that's food. Neat. Let's talk about critical cooks. Anytime that you cook a dish, there is a 10% or higher chance that that dish is going to be a critical cook. A critical cook is going to give you more hearts, or if your dish already has a bonus to it, it's going to be a more potent bonus or a longer duration of bonus. If I cook this 1 apple, there's a 10% chance that we're going to be getting ourselves a critical cook. And now I'm going to sit here cooking 1 apple at a time until I can achieve that. After, let's just say, more than 10 dishes, I was actually able to achieve a critical cook, and you'll know it's a critical cook because while you're cooking, you're going to have a xylophone sound being added, and at the end is going to be a gong. The gong is in case you hit the skip cutscene. That's going to be a critical cook. Now, there are some ingredients that you can add into a dish that's going to increase your chance of a critical cook. For elixirs, if you add in pretty much almost any single monster gut, you have a 30% chance of getting a critical cook. That also applies to monster tails as well. Anytime that you cook a meal involving cane sugar, there's a 30% chance it's going to be a critical cook. If you cook any meal with a golden apple, you're going to be guaranteed a critical cook. If you cook any elixir using a gibdo, you're going to be guaranteed a critical cook. Or if you use any type of dragon part, including scales, horns, etc., except for the spikes, or alternatively a star fragment, in either a meal or an elixir, you're guaranteed a critical cook. And lastly, there's the blood moon to talk about. If you cook in the last 30 minutes of a blood moon, or the next following few minutes after a blood moon, you're going to be guaranteed critical cooks for that entire time that you're cooking. Anytime that I know that I need to cook a lot of meals, I typically wait for before a blood moon, and then around 11 p.m. or so, I make my way to my house or a cooking pot, and then I cook up from there. Now that we're done going over all the basics and heart recovery, it's time to talk about the different types of buffs that you're going to be getting in this game, of which we're going to be talking about the 19 different buffs, the potency of the different buffs from the ingredients that are going to be used, and the thresholds that are required for the different levels of potency to be achieved. When it comes to durations of buffs, this is actually pretty simple, as every ingredient that's eligible for one specific buff is going to be giving you the same amount of duration added. So therefore, for the most amount of time that you could possibly want for a dish, you want to cook with as many of the same type of boosting ingredients that's going to be giving you the most amount of time. However, there are several ingredients in the game that when added to a dish are going to be giving you extended durations of buffs. I'm not going to be covering the lesser ones here, only the real notable ones for the higher tier foods. Now, every time that you're going to be adding another ingredient in, you're going to be getting a boosted 30 seconds. So to explain, you're going to see this high-tailed lizard and bokoblin horn. The high-tailed lizard is a value of 1 minute of speed up boost. You have a second ingredient, so that adds 30 seconds. We're now at a minute and a half, and then a bokoblin horn adds 40 seconds on top of that, equaling a total of 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Likewise, for that second elixir right there, we have the high-tailed lizard adding 1 minute, we have a second ingredient adding 30 seconds, so we're at a minute 30, and then we have 2 minutes and 40 seconds being added on because we're using a bokoblin gut, so that minute and a half plus 240 equals 410. And that top one, you're going to see that we have one high-tailed lizard equaling 1 minute. We have 2 additional ingredients, now we're at 2 minutes, and then we have 2 bokoblin horns. So we have 2 minutes plus 240 plus 240 for a total of 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And you're going to notice here that the horns all have a value of 30 minutes and the maximum duration that you could possibly have for a buff. In addition, because you're cooking with a dragon horn, you have a 100% success rate at a critical cook. First, allow me a moment to spend a little bit more time talking about how Attack Up works as an example, and then we can elaborate from there. When it comes to Attack Up, for potency level 1, we have Bladed Rhino Beetles and Mighty Thistle. For potency level 2, we have Mighty Bananas, Mighty Carp, Razor Claw Crab, and Razor Shrooms. And for level 3, we have one meal ingredient being a Mighty Porgy. Now, the threshold to reach different potencies of a dish depends on exactly what you're going to be cooking. For Attack Up, anytime that you cook anything with a potency level of 1, you're going to be getting a level 1 potency. So if I take one ingredient of the weakest item being a Mighty Thistle and I cook that, I'm going to be getting myself an Attack Up. To achieve Attack Up level 2, you're going to need a potency of 5, which you can totally do using 5 Mighty Thistle. That gives you Attack Up level 2. Using a Mighty Porgy of level 3 and a Razor Shroom of level 2 and cooking those, that's going to equal 5 and get me Attack Up level 2. To achieve Attack Up level 3, you're going to need 7 points of potency. So obviously, because of that, you can't use these level 1 ingredients on their own. You would have to use these in combination with others. So if you were to take the most valuable ingredient, Mighty Porgy, and cook all 5 of those at once, you're going to be getting yourself a level 3 Attack Up for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. But now that you know the values of these, you could grab 2 Mighty Bananas and 3 Mighty Thistles, and you're going to be achieving the same Attack Up level 3 for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Defense Up works very similar, that you're going to have Armoranth or Rugged Rhino Beetles as a level 1 up for Defense Up. For level 2, you have Armor Carp, Fortified Pumpkins, Iron Shell Crabs, and Iron Shrooms for level 2, and level 3, you have an Armored Porgy. And the thresholds to hit level 1, 2, and 3 are the same at 1, 5, and 7. For speed up, for level 1, you have Rushrooms and Swift Carrots that are all level 1s. You have Fleet Lotus Seeds, Swift Violence, and Hot-Footed Frogs for level 2, and the threshold for potency is 1, 5, and 7. So, with no level 3 ingredients, you have to achieve the same numbers. When it comes to glow, we only have Bright Caps at level 1, and at level 2 we have Deep Fireflies and Glowing Cavefish. So we have a much smaller pool of items, however we still have the same thresholds of 1, 5, and 7. For slip resistance, we have no foods that could be cooked into any meals that provide you slip resistance. However, we have a level 1 insect and a level 2 insect in the Sticky Frog and Sticky Lizard that both provide you slip resistance, with thresholds still being 1, 5, and 7. There are 4 new elemental fruits in this game that are going to be providing you cold weather attack, hot weather attack, stormy weather attack, and swim speed up. And because the fire fruit, ice fruit, Shock Fruit, and Splash Fruit are the only items that are going to be giving you these buffs, and they are all level 1. It's going to be impossible to achieve a level 2 potency. Thanks to data mining efforts by Echolot, we've learned that there's actually pre-programmed values for level 2 and level 3 weather attack ups, but those are unachievable at this current point in time because we only have these level 1 ingredients. However, you can get a level 2 weather attack up if you manage a critical cook that gives you a buff increase. Keep in mind that a critical cook doesn't guarantee you a buff increase. It could either be a buff increase, duration, or extra hearts. When it comes to shock resistance, which is the most irrelevant after you get the lightning helm, for level 1 you're going to have the electric Saflina, the thunderwing butterfly, and the volt fruit. For level 2 you have the electric darner and the zap shroom. For level 3 you have the volt fin trout. And the thresholds to hit different potency levels is less than we've seen before at 1, 4, and 6. For stealth up level 1 we have the blue nightshade, sneaky river snail, and the sunset firefly. For level 2 we have the silent shroom and the stealth fin trout, and for level 3 we have the silent princess, with once again different potency levels of 1, 6, and 9. Cold resistance and heat resistance are going to be working similar. Cold resistance you have spicy pepper, summerwing butterfly, and warm Saflina for level 1. For level 2 you have the sun shrooms and warm darners, and for level 3 you have sizzle fin trout, with a potency level 1 and 6 for level 1 and 2, as there is no level 3 buff. For heat resistance, very similarly, you have the cold Saflina, hydromelon, and winterwing butterfly for level 1, the chill shroom and cold darner for level 2, and chill fin trout for level 3, also at the potency levels of 1, 6, and there is no third. Flame Guard doesn't have any food ingredients that are going to be giving you Flame Guard, only insects. Level 1 is Fireproof Lizard and level 2 is Smotherwing Butterfly. You only need 1 point for level 1, however to reach level 2, you're going to need 7 points in total, so you're going to have to make an elixir using Smotherwing Butterflies. Gloom resistance works very interestingly that the only item that you can cook with is going to be a dark clump, and a dark clump cannot be cooked on its own as it's a food additive just like olive oil. So because of that, you have to cook a dark clump with other food-based things that are not going to be giving you other types of buffs as they cancel each other out. Luckily for Gloom resistance level 1, 2, and 3, you only need potency 1, 2, and 3. So 3 dark clumps and 1 piece of meat or apple is going to be giving you the most amount of Gloom resistance that you could possibly need. When it comes to stamina recovery and extra stamina, these numbers work very differently, because you could have a total of a level 15 food, because each ring is going to be broken into 5 parts, and you can recover a total of 3 full rings of stamina. So for stamina recovery on level 1, we have Restless Crickets, Stam Bulbs, and Staminella Shrooms. For level 2, we have Bright-Eyed Crab and Courser Bee Honey. For level 4, we have Staminoka Bass, and for level 6, we have Energetic Rhino Beetles. In addition, the thresholds are very different. To reach level 1, you only need 1, but to reach level 2, you need 2, but level 3 is going to skip level 3 and provide you level 4. All the way up to hitting a total of 11, which is going to give you 3 full rings of stamina. So if you wanted to make a dish that gave you 3 full rings of stamina recovery, which I'm not too sure why you would, but you would need 2 Staminoka Bass, 1 Bright-Eyed Crab, and 1 Stam Bulb for it to be as efficient as possible without overusing resources, providing you 3 full rings of stamina recovery. When it comes to extra stamina, there's not a lot of ingredients in the entire game. You only have Endura Shrooms as level 1, Tireless Frogs as level 2, and Endura Carrots as level 4. And the thresholds go up to level 10 because you could have 2 full rings of stamina, being level 1 to reach level 1, and then level 4 for level 2, and then every 2 points after that to reach your next threshold. However, anytime that you're cooking extra stamina foods, you typically only want to cook 1 at a time, because every time that you cook 1 Endura Shroom, you are going to be recovering all of your stamina. So this 1 Endura Shroom that only provides you a 1/5 of a stamina wheel, that's going to be giving you 3 full rings of stamina recovery plus 1/5 of temporary stamina. Just like the stamina recovery, the Gloom recovery also kind of works differently. For Gloom recovery, we only have 2 items in the game, being the Sundelion and the Sun Pumpkin. The Sun Pumpkin requires a questline for you to unlock it. It's a level 1, and the Sundelion is a level 3. Now these actual internal numbers are actually 4 times that number. I just simplified it to let you know that a Sun Pumpkin is going to recover 1 heart, and a Sundelion is going to recover 3 hearts. By that, you can figure out the math on exactly how you want to get it up there. With the most effective Gloom recovery meal that you could possibly cook, being a level 15 for 15 recovery hearts. And when it comes to extra hearts, there's actually some of the most amount of items in here, even though there's less than there were in Breath of the Wild. For level 1, we have a hearty truffle. For level 2, we have hearty bass. For level 3, we have a hearty radish. For level 4, we have a big hearty truffle, hearty lizard, hearty salmon, and for level 5, we have a big hearty radish. All of these numbers internally are actually 4 times higher, but I've simplified them to just let you know how many hearts you're going to be recovering. And just like it was for the extra stamina, it's kind of seen as though you should only cook one at a time, because even if you cook one hearty truffle for one temporary heart, that is going to be healing all 40 of your hearts in the entire game, and then give you your temporary heart if you're able to have them. Wow, that was a lengthy one. Even though it wasn't that long of a video, it just feels so long because I'm just going over numbers and pictures of food and fruit, but that's what you wanted to know when you clicked on this video. So thank you for making it all the way to the end and not falling asleep in the meantime. So now that you know how to calculate how to make the best food in the game, pro tip, dragon horn and food, yeah, there you go. You're all set. Guys, thank you so much for being here. If you found this information helpful, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button down below. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. Until next time, Austin John out.